Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming. Am I blocking? So my name is Lopez. I'm CTO and co-founder of Volted. Welcome to Hacking Life with BLE. What I mean by that is we are filled with electronics. There's a lot of electronics everywhere you look. You know, your dogs even have electronics now with the chips. So, but you can't really expect your electronics to work all the time, or sometimes they're too expensive, or sometimes, you know, they don't do what you want them to do. So by just adding a few lines of code, you can read whatever values you have in your electronics and transfer them over BLE to your devices. So that's what we will be talking about today. So who am I? Again, I'm Andres Lopez. I'm a problem solver fourth and foremost. I do a lot of programming, and that's how I primarily solve my problems. Oh, my clicker's not working. Sorry, give me a second here. There it goes. Okay, so I have over 12 years of experience in the technology field. I've done things from web, I've done mobile development, and I also do like hardware and IoT development. I'm a tinkerer. I enjoy working and learning on new things. If I'm not working on client work, I'm always learning something new. And I'm a nerd. And Volted is what we founded. So what is BLE? So BLE is part of the Bluetooth 4.0 spec, and there's the Bluetooth 5 coming out soon. But basically, BLE is a wireless technology that runs on the 2.4 gigahertz ISM band, and it's a smart technology. What I mean by smart, there's a specification that where you can write your code and it'll learn other devices. When it connects to other devices, it will know what it's talking about, what your peripheral is talking about. And it was pretty fast. The connection speeds are a lot slower, or a lot shorter, and it writes at a fast rate. And more importantly, it's low energy. So the devices are smart enough to where they know when to power down and save energy, so for long-term uses. So why are we talking about BLE, and why should we use BLE in our hardware projects or to hack our electronics? It's primarily because of the data transfer. You can hook them up to any hardware project you're working on and transfer data over wirelessly to any central device. And what I mean by central is like your server device that holds all the information. And you can do more processing on those devices. It's widely supported. Every modern phone has BLE now. And there's even Web BLE, which you can use on Chrome and even Chrome on Android. And that runs on JavaScript. So it's also, the specifications are open. So it's not like a lot of other hardware specifications where you have to pay a monthly fee or sometimes a yearly fee to have access to. You can go to Bluetooth.com and just learn about BLE or learn about Bluetooth in general and start using BLE, and it's relatively cheap. So let me go back to that slide. So what I mean by cheap is this board here has BLE support, and it was only $10, I believe. So it's a fully development board, and it's really small too. So for a lot of projects, this is the Artemis development board. And you can get these, I got this one at SparkFun, but you can get them at any hardware site. There's also this is an older one. I don't know if they still have support for these. This is a Red Bear Lab. And it's extremely small. So if you look at a BLE chip, the actual chipset is like, actually I have this thing, but it's like really small. The rest is just part of the development board just to get the pinouts and all that stuff. But they're really small, and you can apply them to pretty much anything. We currently work on a project that is going to be transmitting glucose levels through BLE over to your phone. And those sensors are about this big, and they go rest on your arm. So you can do a lot with BLE devices. And this clicker as well. So I created a little clicker for this presentation because I needed a clicker. And I wrote it in this. I should have made a case for it, but it's what I got. So how can we use BLE? So like I mentioned, you can create peripherals to talk to your current devices, whether it's your phone, your computers. It's widely supported, so you can even talk within other BLE devices, like in mesh networking and things like that. Location tracking, so Bluetooth has made a lot of advancements in location tracking. I'm sure you've seen like the tiles or like other devices, such devices, where you can precisely track an item, and you can do indoor tracking like in malls and things like that as well. Also track direction and things like that. So it's pretty interesting stuff. Mesh networking is the other big one, especially with these particle boards. These are actually meant for a mesh network, but today we're going to be using them for just demoing how we can interact with our computer. And also, it's not really real time like Bluetooth Classic, where with Bluetooth Classic, after you create a connection, you can continuously stream. With this, I mean, it's real time-ish, where you can have set up a characteristic on notify mode, and it'll just broadcast values out. So you can listen on those values. So it's kind of like streaming. And two-way communication. You can also write to the device. So if you have, for example, trying to think of an example here. If you have a Bluetooth doorbell, and whenever someone rings the doorbell, it'll notify your device, hey, someone's at the door. You click a button, and then it sends a notification back saying, unlock the like turn the servo or whatever you need to do to unlock that door. So tooling, I like to work with open source, especially like with the open specifications. I like cross-platform because not everybody's equal, so people have their preferences. There's Android users, iOS users, web users, so you can't expect us as developers, our job to cater to the people, not the other way around. And hardware, today we're going to be working with the particle board. It's actually pretty neat. It's this one here, the Argon, has Wi-Fi, BLE, and it also does the mesh networking, which we won't get too much into today, but it's a neat little board. I do recommend this board a lot. And then, like I mentioned, there's a few others you can use. And we'll be using the wiring the wiring libraries for writing our code today. So let's do some demos here. So let's see if I can do this right. Nope. 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 OK, so in front of you, you have a Bluetooth device. And what I've done here, just to demo how Bluetooth works, and I wanted to get a little more hands-on. So Bluetooth, there's a peripheral and a central in most cases. Your peripheral is in this case, it will be the device, or this one here. And your central will be your computer. So we're going to advertise a service. A service is just a collection of characteristics. There's more. You can get more into depth if you go to bluetooth.com and read more about that. But it's a collection of characteristics, and a characteristic is a way where you can read, set values, write values to. And we'll show you an example here. So if you go to, for those that want to demo this, if you go to github.com, I don't know if you can read that. It might be a little, yeah, github.com, multilab / and then BLE And I created just a really small JavaScript library for this, so that this for the demo. Essentially, it's just a function that takes in your service ID, it takes in your characteristic UID, and then it has a callback on it, and then you can read the values from. And then I can actually demo this here as well. So what you have in front of you is a photodiode, and it reads white light, and it sets it limits current passing through this diode. So what we're going to do is read that limited current and read it into an analog input on the particle, and then display it on the web. So you're going to need Chrome for this if you're following along, because Chrome is the only browser that supports this right now on the computer. So if you open up if you download this project and you go to the examples, and then you open up the Ambient Light project. Simple. Here it is. So the Ambient Light project, you'll see a page like this. So once you hit connect and you have your device plugged in or connected to a battery, you'll see, like, I see that a lot of you have already paired to your devices. When you start covering, so let me pair to this one over here. So you'll see that I've done some math to calculate the Lux levels, and whenever I put my hand over it, it goes low. When I put my hand away or shine a light on it, it will go up higher. So let me shine the light here. And all this is through BLE, and it's all wireless. So you can see I'm running on a battery. And then let me walk through some code. So this is all in JavaScript. There's no framework because I didn't want to have you to download any frameworks or anything like that. Can I move this over here? Oh man, that's small. So this is just a simple page, website, or HTML page. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Oops. I'm not sure what happened. Did it come back? There it goes. Okay. Okay, so it's just a simple HTML page where you have just a heading that I gave an ID about, a button to connect, and an error, just so in case we get errors, we can read that output as well. And this is where everything happens. So here we have a event listener listening on the button click. Once that button's clicked, then we call the method that is in this library. If you are interested in how that works, you can just take a look at the library. It's very simple. I just wanted to package it up so it makes it even easier to use. Here you pass in your service ID, followed by your characteristic that you're going to be listening on. In this case, it's going to be the light characteristic. And we're grabbing so we're passing in a 32-bit integer, unsigned integer to the over Bluetooth. So we have to convert that properly. And then here's some math to calculate that Lux level. And then we just output it to that document or to that heading. So it's pretty straightforward on the JavaScript side. And then if we take a look at let's see if I can find it here. Nope. Nope. Ignore. Here it is. There you go. So this is the actual board code. So if you're interested in messing around with that as well, I'm using the Visual Studio Particle Workbench for this. So we're listening on the analog 0 pin, and we have these. This is our service ID. You'll notice that the service ID is the same service ID as in the JavaScript file. Same thing with our characteristic. And once we get to our loop, we initialize some stuff here just to get the serial output going and then get the advertisement going for the Bluetooth. But once we get into our loop, that's when we read the analog pin and then we broadcast it on the characteristic. So it's that's one way you can use BLE, just to have data transferred from a hardware project. Another way you can use BLE is to create like peripherals for your. See if I can find that page. Where'd the Chrome go? I think my Chrome crashed, sorry. There it goes. So file, simple, and then breakout. Okay, so here we have a simple, so I took the breakout game that you can create in JavaScript from the Mozilla website, and then I created a small peripheral for it so that we can control it with as if it were a controller. So I'll plug it in here. And then this is the small breadboarded controller. So it has 2 buttons, it has 2 pull-down resistors, and then we're reading the input in there. So then once we connect, we'll find our device, which I'm guessing is this one. I should have labeled these. It would have been a lot easier. And we'll start a game. So then, nope, that wasn't the right button. Maybe it's this one. There it is. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Maybe it's this one here. Here it goes. OK, so then we create a small controller using BLE, and I lost. But it should already be paired. Nope, it's not. Just picking up all the other peripherals. Essentially, it creates a small controller, and you're able to pass values in. And it's the same code. All I did was change the inputs, the readings for that input. And I can't see it from here. Breakout. So here we go. So it's just the Mozilla breakout code, and then I added this code, or BLE listener here, and it observes the values being notified. And I'm waiting for a 38 or 39 or 37, and those are the keys being pressed. And we just broadcast those values whenever the button's pressed. So, do you have any questions? Yes. No, it should find a device. And what? Yeah, it just needs power. It doesn't have to be directly. It just, as long as it's powered on, yeah, it should pick it up. Did someone else pair to it, maybe? Yeah, because right now we don't have any limitations on. It's just everybody's broadcasting their or advertising their device. So if somebody else paired to it, they probably took the, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much a quick overview of how BLE works and how you can use it in your projects. Does anybody have any questions, or you feel free to mess around with the boards and ask questions if you want to. Yeah.